And this here be session number 4. Tonight, our merry cast of misfits is out on the ocean. They are currently being piloted along on the Verdant Stallion. They escaped Watercrest with the skin of their teeth, cache of arms, some gold, and a very, we'll just call it sarcastic first mate of a ship who brandished his weapons in last week and 2 weeks ago, last session's uh, events. They dispatched some orcs that had stowed away on the ship who were trying to get them to become part of St. Valorn's army to help them take over the world and spread that angel of evil bullshit stuff round and round and round it went. They decided that was not for them. After which they decided to, like a barrel of fish or a barrel, empty barrel, kick one of them off the ship, bloop, sploosh, into the ocean, which was kind of cool. And so this week we are going to pick up with the ending of that scene. If you would like, you can go back and watch episode 3 on our YouTube page, which I will link to you guys tonight. That way you can go and catch up. If you are just seeing us tonight for the first time, welcome. Thank you. Please be kind in the chat if you do decide to post any questions or any comments. Um, we are an equal opportunity offender group, so we will get to you as quick as we can. So, if nobody has any objections or questions, we are going to go ahead and get started for the evening with everybody still remaining on the deck. Pepe had decided that he wanted a drink after smoking a fool with his pistols. There was a Wargrim standing there with his jaw almost on the floor of the ship, admiring the lovely pistols. And the rest of you are all kind of standing around. And I will turn the game over to you, and we will go from there. Gentlemen, good evening, and it is yours.
Wait, so this is the same night, or just like right from last session? There's
We're basically going to skip right in from last session. So you're still busted up and tired. Everybody's hit points are still shitty. Spell slots
Mm.
are all expended.
It's unfortunate.
And you're headed out to sea. You rounded the corner away from the port. All the bad, nasty bullshit's behind you right now. But you do notice that all the other ships that had left with you have met some kind of demise. You're the only ship that has left port successfully at this point. And you are on your way now to Capital, which Captain Fay Leon had told you is about a week's travel from Watercrest by sea. And that is where we are. So about that drink, anybody? Anybody want a drink? Me. I want a drink. Yes. Yes, drink. You there, boy. Come here. Chicken fucker just kind of sitting there looking at him. It's like, me? Yes, boy,
Yes.
you, come here. Oh. He kind of looks over at Wargrim, looks at him, looks at Wargrim, looks at him.
I shrug.
He nods. What what can I do for you? You, down one deck, down the hallway, left side, fourth door, my quarters. Open the door, go straight to the shelf, grab the 2 bottles on the top, and bring them to me. Touch nothing else. Chicken fucker nods and he's gone. Downstairs he goes. Well, I don't know when I've had a better time. That was rather crazy. Commander, thank you to you and your men for helping us get rid of the riffraff that decided to find their way upon our ship. We can now travel in peace to Capital and hopefully leave this, and he kind of looks back towards Watercrest, bullshit behind. As he takes off his hat with his feather kind of toiling in the breeze, and he just kind of sets it on his knee as he's kind of leaned up against the edge of the boat. the kind of the waves are, they're not super high, but they're hitting the side of the ship enough that a little bit of like salty water just kind of sprays up and over the side a little bit, and it's kind of hitting him a little bit. He's just kind of sitting there chilling.
Well, we did say we would help, so here we are.
And what good help it was. Thank you kindly. You see him
I
just kind of,
imagine
go ahead.
I'm still like crumpled on the deck floor from missing that sweet jump I tried to do.
Yeah, you're basically yeah, you're laying on your
And
back
I just want to
essentially.
yell from the deck, if that kid that was bringing me to a bed doesn't come right now, I'm going to sleep right here.
Pepe kind of pipes up a little bit and he's like, "Don't worry, don't worry. I'll send for him as well." And
He's
brings
going to
his
have to carry me.
he brings his two fingers and he lets out a big whistle. You see two young men pop up out of the stairwell, and they come running over and they're like, "Yes, yes, yes, sir, yes, sir. What can we do for you?" He points over at you. He leans in real close and he goes, "Take her to the rack and let her sleep." And he just leans back against the dock and they walk over to you and they look down. You're wearing plate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They look at you. They look at him. They look back at you. Roll up their sleeves, the piratey kind of real billowy type sleeves that they used to wear, and they kind of pin it back over their arms. One, two, three. And they both like pick you up, and your ass is like 2 inches off the deck, and they slowly make their way off the deck and down below deck, and take you to the rack so that you can sleep.
Perfect. This is all I wanted.
All right, so you are now safely in your rack to sleep. About a couple minutes go by, and then chicken fucker comes running back up onto the deck, and he's carrying two bottles. One with this like very beautiful filigree all over the bottle. It's like gold and silver, and it's just kind of like in a spiral all the way down the bottle. It's got a very like deep amber colored liquid in it, and the other one is like it's almost a little eerie because he's holding a bottle, but the bottle itself is it's very thin, like a book, and very tall. So imagine like a book with a bottle top on the top of it like this. And it's like almost completely translucent see-through. Like you can it's like there's no glass there, but there's liquid, and it's just sloshing back and forth as he's running. And it is almost just pure clear, but there is just like every once in a while there's this like little flicker of green hue to it as he's like running it over to him. Are you casting detect magic, Eska? Or are you just looking at the goodness?
Just looking at it.
Okay, very good. So he runs over and he almost right as he gets to him, there's like a little thing of rope kind of sitting on the deck, and it's kind of coiled, and there's one little piece that kind of runs off and over to like one of the masts where you can like pull the sail up. He catches his toe on it, and he trips, and the bottles come sailing out of his hands, and he just lets go of the bottles, and they're like sailing at Pepe right now, and you can just see like he was super happy. Pepe was super happy, and then all of a sudden it just like went from happy to like pure torture on his face all at once.
How's that? How's that roll?
To try to catch them,
Absolutely.
huh?
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, cool. So in the instance that the chicken fucker stumbles and both bottles exit his hands, you watch as the captain or you watch as the commander like out of nowhere just appears and snatches the two bottles out of midair, and with just a little twist of her body, steps right up in front of Pepe. Now you're standing in front of him with his two bottles of what you would assume is fairly decent liquor because the look on his face was, I'm gonna gut you. I'm gonna gut you.
I hand them over to Pepe with a smirk on my face. I don't miss now.
He 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 kind of like scoffs at you a little bit, and then he just kind of like, you see this like long drawn out breath, and he just kind of lets it out. Thank you very much. And he looks over at Chicken Fucker and he goes, "It would be good if you would walk with my expensive alcohol next time, young one. Do you know how much money it took to procure those two items?" Chicken Fucker's looking at him, and he's looking over at Wargrim, and he's looking at him, and he's looking at Wargrim, and he's looking at him, like looking for approval to talk to him.
I mean, you're not my slave, chicken fucker. You're allowed to talk to it.
Free to fuck
He
chicken.
nods. He nods. He goes, "I'm terribly sorry. I'm terribly. It won't happen again. I'm terribly sorry." He's like, "Never mind. Never mind." So um he takes the two bottles and he sets them on the deck next to him, and he's like, "So, tell me a story. Tell me a story, Eska. What kind of alcohol would you say would be your favorite?" "Oh, that's right. That's right. The commander of the Oathsworn doesn't drink now, does she?"
No, but I do enjoy a good bottle. At least the craftsmanship.
"Oh, well, then come, please look at this." And he grabs the bottle that looks like a book, and he hands it out and he hands it to you. "Take a look at this." And when you grab it again, you hear him mutter a word. You don't quite catch what it was, but all of a sudden you see like writing like just appear all around the bottle. Do you speak Elvish?
1 second. No.
No. Okay. You see this very beautiful script just all the way around the bottle, but it's in like it's almost like it was text written in a book all the way around the bottle. And then as about as quick as you see it, it disappears, and you just see that shimmery, clear, green hued alcohol in the bottle.
He's enchanted.
Well, I mean, what's an expensive bottle of alcohol without a little fun, eh? And he just kind of grins.
I'll leave you to it then. And then I hand them back.
Suit yourself. Maybe some other time. He kind of looks slyly up at everybody else on the deck. "You there, horseman. Care for a drink?"
I don't particularly partake of the drink.
"Fair enough. I don't suppose the automaton drinks alcohol?"
Of course I do.
"Oh, well, please, please. Which would you prefer, the elven distilled alcohol, or would you prefer the dwarven distilled alcohol?"
Oh, Dwarven any day. They're always superior.
He smiles. He's like, "Well, depends on your taste. Depends on depends on what you're looking to do." And he hands you the dwarven bottle. That was well timed, sir. You may take a D6 inspiration for that. Mark that down somewhere.
Will do.
I like that. Anyways, so he hands you the dwarven bottle, and like I said, it's got this like gold and silver filigree that's like all over the bottle. And it's a circular bottle. It's probably about, I don't know, 12 inches or so tall. It basically looks like a wine bottle. And from the top, somebody's echoing really bad. Is it me? Hello? I don't know who that's coming across on. Hold on. I'm gonna find out. Hello?
Oh, that might have been me.
It's
I think I fixed it.
Yeah, it's you. Alright, there we
Cool.
go. Alright, so anyways. So from the top where the cork goes into the bottle, on one side is gold, on the other side is silver, and they basically just helix around each other all the way down to the bottom of the bottle. And you kind of take a second and you look at the bottle, and every so often you see a little piece of dwarven script on it, just ever so often on the bottle. So I snagged that one quite a while back. Care to know where I found that?
As I'm draining the last bit out of the bottle, I will ask, no. Where did you?
Well, have you ever heard of a little place called Vanagar?
Have I heard of a place called Vanagar?
Yeah, like Vanagar, city of Thumkarim.
Okay, that's what I thought. Just making. Yes, I have actually. I'm from there.
Oh, from the dwarven city itself, are you?
Well, I mean, not originally, obviously.
Obviously, yes. Yes, many moons ago I was there on a mission. I was to procure some dwarven made items for one of the captains that I was working for at the time. Happened upon this old dwarf who had a bit of work that he needed done. And well, of course, Pepe couldn't leave him hanging. He had to go help him out, right? I said, "Dear old man, what can I do for you?" And he looked at me with a smile and he said, "If you help me get this cart full of wheat to the granary, I've got something very special for you back at my house." Well, I thought to myself, how hard could it be to get a cart of wheat to the granary? Little did I know that there was a famine on at the time, and the old man saw my pistols on my belt loop, put two and two together, and he had himself a bodyguard on the way to the granary, because people had been robbed over and over and over again trying to take food to the granaries to get paid. And so I dispatched a few thieverous thieves on the way to the green bin, and he took me back to his place, and this is the bottle that he gave me. And he told me a little story, and it goes something like this. I found this bottle on the edge of a dock. I had taken my fishing pole one morning, went to go catch myself some fish for dinner, cast my line, and the next thing I know, I look down and here's this bottle sitting next to me, and there was a little fairy sitting on top of it. And I looked down and I said, that's quite a weird sight. A bottle with a fairy sitting on top of it. And I looked down and the fairy was sitting there smiling at me. And the fairy says, "You there. Do you fancy a bit of fun?" The dwarf was like, "Well, Maybe. Take this bottle. Drink from it sparingly. But just know that after you do, you will have a wonderful time. And poof, the fairy was gone. So I took up that bottle, and I went back to my house, and I put it on a shelf. And I was scared to drink from it, because what is in a bottle that just magically appears next to you while sitting on a dock fishing?
Orgrim's eyes, if they could get bigger, will get bigger, seeing as he has managed to drain everything out of that bottle.
Yeah, there wasn't much left, about enough for one drink.
Nah. Okay, cool.
And so Pepe kind of kicks out of telling the story from his viewpoint, and he's like, "So, I took that bottle, and one night, about 2 or 3 weeks later, I decided it was time for a good time. I'd been working very hard, tireless hours, you might say. My feet hurt, my back hurt, my hands, they hurt. And so I took that bottle and I poured myself a shot. I took that shot, and the next thing I know, I woke up the next morning, naked as a jaybird, laying in bed with 3 naked strippers. I looked to my left, I looked to my right, I gathered my things, I put them on, and I walked out the door. And the whole way I was headed back to the ship, I wondered to myself, I must have had a really good time. I don't particularly usually keep that kind of company. Not my taste. And he just winks at you. He just kind of kicks back and just relaxes. Have your drink. Enjoy.
I hand him the empty bottle and thank him profusely.
Very good. Thank you kindly. He takes the bottle and sets it down. So, anybody else want a drink? Anybody? Please, come forward. Grab yourself a drink. It is the finest you're going to find on this ship. I assure you.
Is there any place I could get some food?
You might be able to find something down in the galley.
How do I get to the?
Not
How
so
do I get
sure
to the
that there's
galley?
anything cooked right now, seeing as how we just left port under
Ooh.
duress. But you can go down a level and see what you can find. We have plenty of provisions for the week-long journey. No big deal.
Okay.
Good sir, would you mind if Chicken Fucker had some of this drink, seeing as without him we may not have made it out of the city and to your dock and your lovely.
Chicken fucker looks at you like almost scared because of the last time he got inebriated. He's like,
Ah, come on, you gotta build a tolerance.
Maybe something a little less strong for the boy.
Or maybe just not the whole bottle. And you kind of went hard.
Well, he's looking at you and he's looking at the cup and he's looking at you and he's looking at the cup. And he reaches out his hand. He takes the cup, takes half of it, hands it back to you. And you just watch this like glaze go over his eyes, like it's like. And the next thing you know, he turns around and he looks at Pepe. He walks up to him and he goes, "Man, I gotta hand it to you. That was the most beautiful jump I've ever seen. Like the way you landed in front of that guy and you had your pistols drawn. Man, that was just amazing. So amazing. How did you do that? It was wonderful. And he like reaches up and tries to give him a big hug. And Pepe's like, "Whoa, easy there, kiddo. Easy. Just step back, take a deep breath. It's gonna be all right." And all of a sudden, you see the boy kind of stiffen up a little bit, and he kind of looks to his right, he looks to his left, he looks to his right, he looks to his left, and he's like almost scared to move. And Pepe's just kind of looking at him, and then you just watch his eyes go from his head to his chest to his waist and down, and he stops right at his waist. He's like, "Yep, that's pretty much what happens." And he grabs his bottle of elven liqueur and he walks off the deck, snickering as he goes. And you hear him kind of whistling a little tune as he goes.
So
The boy is just standing there, terrified, but like elated at the same time.
how you doing there, chicken fucker?
Um, um, um. Well, I'm. Boy, I feel great. I feel great. Could I talk to you for just a second over here? Could you come over here, please? I mean, just over here, please? Please?
Yeah, why not?
You walk over to him and you're kind of like standing side by side looking off the deck now. The water's just kind of as it goes by. And he leans in real close. He's like, I, um, I, um, I'm, oh boy. Um, I have,
A stiffy?
yes.
Yes.
Yes. Um, I've never really. I have this. What do I do?
Well, I mean, what do you normally do when you flesh sacks get stiff?
I I not usually around all these people. Boy, oh boy, how do I get off this deck? Oh my, oh boy, where am I gonna go with this? Oh my. And he's like steadily becoming more red from the neck up.
I mean, you could always try to find an empty room if you're really feeling the need.
I mean, I mean, damn,
But
I feel good. I feel good.
seeing as I don't have the same kinds of bits as you, flesh sacks, I can't really give you advice here.
I feel, I feel good. Oh, I feel good. And he starts like, he like starts, little Michael Jackson ish. Then all of a sudden he just like spins around and starts dancing on the deck. And now all of you get to see
I'm gonna lean
poor,
in closely to Chicken
poor,
Fucker and
poor
whisper,
chicken.
it's like, you should really probably go talk to Eska right now. I saw her eyeing you earlier.
He looks at you. Roll, roll a persuasion.
Oh, shit. How about a 19?
19. All right. So, uh, yeah. He's like, you think so?
Oh, I know so.
No.
He dances over. He circles you. Hey,
No.
commander. Hey, uh, how's it going?
No.
You see him kind of look. You say no like a couple times, and he just gets this like really dejected look on his face.
From across the deck, I just scream, "It's okay. She just plays hard to get."
It'd be hard to get all your roommates up off the deck.
Oh boy. Oh boy. He doesn't resist the temptation from Wargrim, and he starts doing the whole fists out thing.
My fucking spell slots.
Yo. Oh my God, Cap.
I'm gonna waltz on over to this mating display I'm seeing and lean into Eska's ear and say, "Hey, Eska, you know, as the captain of our unit, you kind of in charge of like shaping and leading our young recruits. I mean, maybe you could help them out here." And I want to roll a persuasion check against our captain.
Oh my god.
Hold on. I gotta get my really big dice.
Oh my god.
uh,
Oh my
yo,
god.
yo, Captain.
Captain, my captain.
This is a big roll, so I mean we're doing this right.
Nah, man.
Non-nat 20.
Hmm.
Oh, is this
Yeah,
DM approved? Is this a
just roll for flavor.
what am I rolling?
You're gonna roll. What did you roll? You rolled persuasion.
Yeah.
Just roll a d20 and add your. What is persuasion? Charisma?
Yeah.
Roll a d20 and add your charisma modifier.
Still +2 to saves for my aura. Am I close enough under them?
Yo, you are in your room.
We're on the same ship.
You're
It's an aura.
you're in your room.
Yeah. In all seriousness, though, there's no way he's persuading my character to commit statutory.
No,
It's like the year at 500.
It's all fun, but no, you absolutely refuse. And he's like dancing around you, and then he starts to like stumble dance, and then he starts to spin, and then he goes face first into the deck, funk, and starts snoring.
Wait, I have font of magic. Holy shit! I can spend sorcery points to gain spell slots.
He's now laying face first on the deck with a boner poking into the wood.
One cock push up.
Basically. Oh, Jesus Christ. So, anyways, chicken fucker's now out cold at your feet.
Good time.
I just look at Wargrim and I say, "He's yours," and I walk away. I ask Pepe to find me my chambers so I can take a rest.
That's easy enough. You get led by
The cold shower.
You get led by one of the deckhands down to a very nice quarters. You have a desk, you have a bed, um, you know, kind of like a wardrobe that you could hang up your stuff if you want to. Um, Pretty decently furnished. You would say that it's one of the officers' quarters for the ship.
Cool. I kind of do a quick look around the room.
Okay.
I can roll if you need me to.
No, you're fine. It's easy enough. You walk into the room. It's very Vaslorian in nature, so think like like Middle Ages English. There's lots of dark woods, and tapestries and things kind of hung on the wall. It's very elegant and rich without being completely over the top. It's you would guess that this is probably one of the nicest places on the whole entire ship,
Okay, cool.
and it's
I
got a miniature four-poster bed in the corner.
I just face plant in the bed and then fall asleep almost immediately.
All right, fair enough. You are out cold in your room. So we are headed into the first evening on the ship. The various deckhands are, back and forth with their duties and their tasks. Things like that. Um, you know, Trimming the sails, swabbing the decks, making sure things are clean, preparing the food for the next day, just assuring to all the different ship tasks and things like that. All right, we'll get to that in a minute, Worgrim. Um, the evening goes on. Is there anything anybody would like to RP for the first evening other than what you just sent me?
I do want to either work on repairing the arrows or speak to Pepe about his pistols.
Okay. You can choose one. Which would you like to do?
We'll start by talking to Pepe about his pistols.
Okay, fair enough. You descend the stairwell into the second section of the ship. You make your way down the corridor, and the fourth door on the left-hand side is Pepe's quarters. The door is very elegantly carved. It is not the same color as the wood around it. It is a very deep, kind of almost chestnut red-ish kind of color.
Oh, I like his style.
And the rest of the ship is kind of like a green or a dark green to almost black oak kind of look. The door, like um, the handle and everything for the door is finely carved. It's very elegant and very dainty, but very strong, very elven. You get a huge elven vibe from his aesthetic, right? So you knock on his door, or yes. Who's there?
It would be me, Wargrim.
Ah, Wargrim. Come to talk with me, have you?
That I have. That's why I'm knocking at your door, good sir.
Give me one moment to make myself decent. I'll be right there. Alright, give me 1 second. I have to look for a note on something, so
Okay.
give me just 1 second here, and I'm not sure where I put it. So, if anybody has anything else they would like to do, feel free. Where did I put that? Oh, here we go. Where are you? Oh, here we go. Where is this name? There he is. Okay. Got it. Alright. Continue. He comes to the door, and you hear like a couple of metallic shink shink shinks, and then the door opens, and standing in front of you is a very tall and slender, kind of lanky human, wearing a kind of a mixture of green and purple and gold robe that kind of cuts off at his ankles, so you still see his feet out of the bottom. It's tied at the waist, but kind of like an off-center tie off to the side as opposed to like right in the middle. He is absolutely 100% naked underneath the robe. You can see like the skin whenever he like moves his legs and stuff. You can see that he's just standing there in his robe. And he just kind of holds the door. He kind of like takes the door with his hand, kind of like this. You're kind of standing right outside in the hallway, and he kind of grabs it. And he just kind of lays his head on his hand, and he goes, "So, what can I do for you, Orgrim? How are you?"
Well, I was coming to speak to you about your guns.
Well, I mean, they are quite magnificent. I could see why you would want to come speak to me about them.
Yeah. So we were talking about dwarves earlier, and I spent a better portion of my existence in Thumgarim under the Shield Dwarves. I had a mentor named Thumgarim, and I became in my opinion, a very well-versed craftsman. And the technology in that firearm is not something I've had the opportunity to learn yet. I'm wondering if I could glean some insight.
Well, I think with time and some getting to know one another, I could possibly be interested in sharing with you some information about them and some of the things that I've learned over the years about them. They uh, they aren't of my making, but I spent quite a bit of time with well, let's just say the people who made them.
You're cutting out really bad towards the end of each of your sentences.
Okay.
I got what you said, but you're cutting out really bad.
All right, let me see if this does a little better for you.
Yeah, that's already a lot more clear.
All right, cool.
And
But
give me
yes,
just a second. I'm checking on the stream real quick.
Yep. Test, test, test. Hello, Clarice. Test, test, test. It's looking okay.
My internet's bugged out for a second there. Can you guys hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, there we go. My internet just kind of like dropped out for a second there.
Okay, no worries. All right,
Okay, cool. We're good.
All right, so anyways, and he's just kind of standing there. He tells you a little bit of he doesn't give you any details. He doesn't tell you who they are, anything like that. He's just kind of standing there with his leg kind of crossed in front of him, just kind of holding the door with his head on his hand, just kind of looking at you, kind of looking from top to bottom and top to bottom a little bit. You know, I've never really met a Warforged before.
And what are your impressions?
I mean, so far you appear to be just as human as the rest of us.
I prefer to think myself as being more dwarvish, but I appreciate the.
Well, let me recant and rephrase. Humanoid, like.
Much appreciated.
We come from many different backgrounds, many different creeds, colors, races, religions, all of the like. Didn't mean to offend.
None taken.
And he kind of smiles at you softly. So, care to come in for a drink?
Why not?
He leads you in, and you kind of sit down at this like little table, kind of next to his bed. It's got very
Just real quick, I just got a little bit of feedback from someone who's watching. Do you have a way to up your volume on the stream and up mine down? Or is that something we're just going to both have to do separately?
I can try. Let me try. Alright, I turned my gain up on OBS.
Alright, he says that yours is better.
Turning yours down. Your ping.
Yeah, I definitely need to turn mine down. Hold on.
You're peaking on my end, so that I can't take you down without taking everybody else into the basement.
That's fine. Give me just a second. I can turn mine down.
Yeah, you need to come down about 15 points.
All right, test. How's that sounding, Rymansky?
How we doing there? Is it sounding better?
It says you could go just a touch higher, but it's better already.
All right. Let me see. Hold on, let me go to Discord and see if I can up my output. I don't know if I can or not. I need a better mic.
Yeah, listening to the stream myself now, you definitely need to be a little.
All right. Let me go down on that output volume.
In fact, I'm going to turn myself down even more, hearing myself on.
All right, let's try that. I've upped my output volume by about 20%, 30%, something like that. Let's try that. Is that any better? Hopefully, I hope. Maybe I can get this a little closer to my mouth. Hello? My mic boom broke off the other day, so I had to like fucking tape it back on.
All right, so far that's significantly better.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll try to speak a little louder as well.
Appreciate that, Rye. That's a big input thing that we need because we can't always hear ourselves through the stream.
Exactly. All right. So you come into his room and you sit at a table. That table, it's not very big. It's probably, I don't know, 2.5 feet or so in diameter. There are 2 glasses, one on each side. The chairs, it would almost remind you of bamboo. I mean, there's no bamboo in the game, but it would be a wood that's something like bamboo. Very, think Japanese, but in this world, the term would be Hagaran. It's very it's very Hagaran. It's got this very oriental aesthetic to it. So you've not only seen him with things of elven kind of feel to it. Now you're seeing things from a different part of the world. You're seeing things from Hagara. The drink set that's sitting in front of you is reminiscent of like a Chinese or Japanese tea set almost. Very fine porcelain, uh, paintings of dragons and things align both sides. And there's a little kettle kind of sitting off to the side, right next to the table. So.
I see you're very well traveled and versed in different cultures. It's very impressive.
He kind of whips his robe as he sits down and he crosses his leg over the other as he sits there and he's like, well, I mean, what can I say? I've worked on ships most of my adult life. I've been all around this world and, it's. I collect things from all over the place that I go. It's just something that I do. I quite enjoy
Take a
it.
moment to just peruse his gatherings and his decor and appreciate them and their different.
You see a mixture. You see Hagaran. You see Elven. You see Veslorian. You see Rioan. Like Rioan would be like Middle Italian-ish, like very Venetian, like Venice, things like that.
Is there any dwarven works?
There are some. You see the bottle that you had that he replaced on the shelf, on the top shelf, next to the book-like bottle next to that. There is in the corner, on the opposite side of the room from his bed, there's an old like pickaxe leaning up in the corner with the pick part down and the handle leaning in the corner. And stamped in the middle of that is like is a crest, and you can't quite make it out from where you're sitting, but it's definitely got Dwarven script written all over it. Like that.
I'm definitely going to take a
Dwarven.
closer step to observe that.
Okay. Roll a perception check for me.
14.
Okay. It's Dwarven. About the best you can tell from where you're sitting.
As far as the crest goes, though, like I wanted to actually go and like look at the crest and see if it's something I recognized from any of the crafting.
Okay. If you go over to it, do you get up from the table or?
Yeah, I will get it from the table. It's dwarven shit. I'm interested.
Oh my, where are you going?
I just had to go check out this pickaxe you had over here. I noticed a dwarven crest. I just want to see if I can make.
Oh, that old thing? Oh, yeah. One time I was in a small town not too far from Thumgrim, and you know, thought I would see what those dwarves bring out of the ground for myself. So they handed me a pickaxe and let me be a dwarf for a day. It was quite amusing. Although I got very dirty. I don't really like getting dirty. It just messes up my aesthetic. I don't really care for it a whole bunch. Do you know it took 2 baths for me to get clean from that?
Oh, I can believe it. Those dwarven mines are downright nasty.
It was gross. I am here to tell you. But they let me keep the pickaxe.
Oh, it's mighty kind of them. Dwarven pigs are nothing to frown upon.
Yeah, it hasn't broke on anything I've struck on it, so it must be pretty decent.
Do you happen to know the maker of this?
No, no, I wasn't ever told.
Would you mind if I took a look at the crest and see if I can discern?
I mean, please be my guest. And he sits back down after kind of just watching you go over and walk it. And he crosses his legs again and he picks up his little cup with his little saucer and he's just kind of just watching.
I'll stroll over and heft the pick and see if I can make out who made it.
All right. Investigation check for me, please.
Of 17.
Okay. Takes you a couple minutes, but you're looking over how the handle is hewn, kind of looking, looking real close, looking at the patterns of how it was scraped or how it was cut. You look at the pick itself, the dimensions and how it's, the angles and everything. And without too much shadow of a doubt, where this pick came from. Because in all the years that you spent learning from one of the same people over and over and over again, working the same forge, same metal, different designs for things. But when you get right down to it, there's a lot of same nuances in all the pieces that certain sections of dwarves do, right? This is
Correct.
100% a manufactured piece from a shield dwarf. There's
Pepe, I do
no
believe
doubt
you
about
have
it.
a masterpiece of a pickaxe sitting in your corner. I know that these were made by the shield dwarf.
Really? I never would have known that.
Beyond shadow of a doubt, this would be the best pick you could ever put your hands on.
Well, I mean, I've put my hands on a lot of picks before, but thank you, thank you. It goes quite nicely in my corner over there.
And I'll come back and take a seat at the table.
Okay. You sit back down, and he offers you another pour of his concoction in his little tea kettle.
Yeah. Pepe, I appreciate that hospitality, but truth be told, alcohol doesn't really do anything for me, given my origins.
Well, then let's just say that it is a good faith gesture to warm your soul and for us to get to know each other a little bit better. I mean, we did just meet today.
Ah, why not? No, I will accept a portion.
All right. So he pours you a little bit, and you sit and converse, and you talk a little bit more about some of his escapades and things that he's done. And he drinks a little bit more. And as he drinks a little bit more, he gets a little bit tipsy, but nothing, nothing too crazy. And then by the end of your, hour and a half conversation, I would say go ahead and roll a intelligence check for me, just a straight intelligence check.
Like, add the intelligence to it. D20 add intelligence.
Yes, please.
Saving throw or regular?
Just a regular, just a check.
23.
So I would like you to mark down in your notes one successful meeting with Pepe.
Will do.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Is there anything else you'd like to do with that interaction?
I will thank him for his time, for speaking to him.
Make it 2. A little longer.
I will give him the closest to a wink that a Warforged can muster.
All right, very good. He kind of blushes a little bit. He kind of grabs the door again with his hand like he did, and then he just kind of pushes it closed gently as you leave. And then you return to your quarters or wherever you would like to go from there. Is there anything that anybody else would like to do with that time for the evening? Anything that...
The only other thing I want to do is just what I sent you in Discord.
Okay, we'll do that very last.
Yep.
Anything else anybody wants to do? Going once. Going twice. All right, let me reread this real quick so that I fully understand what it is you were asking. Hello, chat. How are we doing this evening? Hope everybody is well. Thank you for joining us tonight. Very close there, Mansky, very close. All right, so let's see. Okay, so all right. Eska, can you do me a favor?
Sir.
Can you please roll me a perception check? Okay, thank you.
Oof.
All right, I'm going to ask that you role play this from beginning to end of how you would like to do this. If you would, please. Wargrim.
Oh, the thing I sent you?
Yep. Nobody else
Oh,
wants to do anything,
fantastic.
so this will be the end of the evening. After this occurs, the evening will come to a close.
God damn it, is this the Workroom episode? Okay, well, I'm going to go back to the deck where I assume Chicken Fucker has passed out.
He is still currently face down with a
Still
Woody on the deck.
Oh, fantastic. I'm going to gingerly scoop him up and make my way through the halls of the ship, finding our venerable captain's Eska's room.
Okay.
And as stealthily as I can, I'm going to sneak into that room and place him on her bed with him while she sleeps.
Okay. And based upon your roll and Eska's roll,
Pretty fucking great roll.
Chicken Fucker is now laying on Eska's bed, snoring his ass off. And that's it.
I'm going to disappear back into the night.
All right, go ahead and roll me one more stealth check to
Oh, Lord.
exit the room. Eska, could you please roll another perception check for me, please?
Oh my god.
Come on.
I made a 23.
A what?
I made a 23, thank God.
Oh, wow. That was close. That was so close. I was hoping you were going to get caught. Oh, I wanted you to get caught so bad.
God bless this dice.
All right. So, the evening will come to a close. You have played your prank. And the morning comes.
Oh, I'm getting all my spell slots back.
The birds are chirping. And we will start in the commander's room. You wake up.
Oh,
and
long rest, right?
Yep. You stretch and your arm hits something next to you.
Hold up. I actually don't know. Sorry, meta real quick. I actually don't know where to hit long rest in D&D.
It's up top right.
Up top. Wow. All right. Cool.
All right, so you wake up, your arm bumps into something that wasn't there the night before.
Yeah, and I see that it is who we recently have found to be Rooster Fucker, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, Rooster Fucker.
You would say cocksucker. It's okay.
Depending. Yeah.
We
All right.
Is he a switch? I mean, I don't know. Like,
He's still discovering himself.
He's just aiming for the coop.
there you go. He's just trying to get in the game. All right. So,
All right.
what would you like to do?
Well, we're gonna grab this child by the scruff of his neck,
Okay.
and burst out of the fucking door. And I don't have any deductive reasoning to know exactly who it is per se,
Right.
but based on the conversations I had yesterday, I have a good guess.
I will fairly allow this to continue.
Would I know where Wargrim's I wouldn't know where his actual quarters are, would I?
You would not. You would have to just walk out into the hallway and start screaming or yelling, whichever you prefer, or not. Whatever
Use
you
your
like
cool
to do.
magic to start yelling.
Yeah. Yeah, actually. Thaumaturgy. Let's go.
The whole ass shit.
Yeah. And I just scream, if you don't come get your child, he will die today. Just seeing if, Wargrim responds. And I kind of just toss Chicken Fucker kind of on the ground.
All right, go ahead and roll a perception. All right, would you be awake? Do you ever sleep?
He just wakes up with a grin on his face immediately.
I don't sleep. I'm basically just meditating on the deck.
Well, you hear a very, very loud commotion downstairs. You might not exactly audibly hear what she says, but you definitely know something's fucking going on.
Commander, why would you treat him so poorly?
Better than I'm gonna treat you if you don't get him out of my sight.
Well, what happened?
I just turn around and go back in the room and slam the door. Not entertaining conversation.
Giving the best facsimile of confusion, I turn to Chicken Finger. It's like, dude, what?
Roll a deception check. Because what'd you get?
19.
All right. Let's see. Oh, bitch. That's a 17. He's just laying on the floor with his back. Like, he's laying flat on the... And he's got his hands, like, out like this. And he's looking up at you, and he's like, why does this keep happening to me? I don't understand. I woke up, and the next thing I know, the commander's screaming at me and dragging me out of a room that I don't even know how I got there.
Oh, man! You're a man now.
A man?
you're a man.
How am I a man? I don't even know what happened.
Woke up in a lovely woman's quarters. You've done well for your...
What did I do? Wait a minute. Wait.
My G.
Wait a minute. What?
I mean, put two and two together. You got it.
He stands up and bolts out of the hallway and up onto the deck. Like, away from you as quick as he possibly can.
Proud of you, Chicken Fucker. I scream as he's...
He doesn't even turn around. He just gone. Totally gone. Luckiest man alive. He's just a boy. I don't even know if he's a man. Oh boy. Okay. So, the morning comes to, the sun comes up over the horizon. It's a beautiful day at sea. Is there anything that anybody would like to do this morning?
I feel like I had something, but I think I'm good.
All right, fair enough. Is there anything anybody else would like to accomplish on day one at sea or day two at sea?
Linnaeus doesn't like being stuck on the ship.
Are you longingly looking out at the ocean, waiting for land? I'll take that as a yes.
Um, we actually do need. Yeah, I'm gonna come back out about an hour later, if the timetable allows for it. And I'm gonna say we actually need to get together. Or how about I just actually RP it? I cast thaumaturgy, and kind of call out to the crew, um, to come to my position so we can actually discuss our next movements because we got to figure out what we're gonna do when we land.
All right, fair enough. You all hear this very echoey, loud voice of the commander just kind of wafting through the ship, beckoning you to come to her position for a meeting of the Coven of the Oathsworn. And as you all start to gather and, kind of set your things down, whatever you were carrying, just kind of making position next to her, and being ready for the meeting. That's where we're going to take a quick break. So if you need a drink, go to the bathroom, anything like that, go ahead and get that done right now. We're going to take about 5, maybe 10 minutes at the most, probably more like 5. Guys, so thank you so much for coming to the chat tonight. We really appreciate you coming. And we're going to take a quick break, but we will be back here in just a few minutes. So hang out with us, and we will finish up the evening with the continuation of Covenant of the Oathsworn at sea, headed to capital. We will be right back. Thank you guys so much. See you in just a few.
like every other.
Right now, I just did it. We are live. We are back, as I just got reminded by my wonderful cast and crew that I should switch it back to, what we were looking at. Also, turning the mics back on is usually a pretty decent idea, People sometimes like to hear what the hell I have to say. Not usually, but maybe. I don't know. All right, so as we left just before the quick break there, Commander Eska had requested a meeting of all of the Coven of the Oathsworn members. The senior staff is gathered around her in the closest of circle, and then everyone else would be around that on the outside. Basically, think of it as you all would be in like a half moon circle, and then everybody would be kind of around you in a stadium fashion, listening in. So we will start with your corner of the deck, wherever you'd like to be. Take it away, Commander.
All right, everyone. Let's discuss. We have to make sure that we take care of a few things going. There's no way that we can get into another situation like this without an escape plan. So ideally, we'll need to get our own transportation. I might have a few connects, but we're probably going to have to use a couple more resources than just my own in order to get something feasible. Aside from possibly a ship of our own, maybe some form of land travel, some kind of connection to that, we need a way to potentially get up to a flying city. I'd imagine that maybe Delise Wergrim, as my magical and technological expertise lays mostly in your hands, you'd maybe be able to help me figure something out between the combination of you.
So you mean you guys can't summon flying horses? I thought that was a pretty standard thing. Nobody? Nothing?
Well, if you're willing to supply the flying horses going forward, I'd be fine with that.
I mean, I just have mine. Like, I don't. You guys, I don't know.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
Okay, good. We also need to be able to figure out a little more about our potential allies. Do we still have that arrow?
It's still in pieces, but I'm going to work on it some today.
Okay, maybe if there's any clues that can come of that, it could be helpful. And obviously, just more investigation of any kind as well. I think we need to also search for leads. If anywhere would have any leads on this situation, it would probably be the capital, seeing as it's kind of a hub of sorts. I also think that if you guys have any of your own things to take care of, once we have gotten the major things taken care of, you're free to do so, but we have to make sure that these things are taken care of initially. So we need to make sure we have our transportation at the ready. Definitely talk about escape plans going forward. We need to make sure that we can find any leads on our enemies and on our allies. Sound fair?
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, sure.
Any other concerns?
One of the
So need a new base of operations once we land, seeing as our last one's been destroyed.
Very true.
We're also going to need to recruit more members for the order, seeing as we only have about 34, 35 left.
Also true. Which one of you is willing to oversee?
I'd happily oversee the establishment of a base.
That's fair. I don't know if I like your proximity to new recruit.
Touche, Commander. Touche.
Litness, you're stern enough to be able to kick some kids into shape.
They may not survive.
Fighting
I'm
her.
counting on it.
Well, then you'll have the best of the best.
Fantastic. Added to our itinerary. Anything else?
Why don't we just take this ship?
What kind of budget do I have for our new base of operations?
Well, your
Ugh.
treasury die was sitting at, what did I say, 3 or 4?
I think it was 4.
Mhm.
Okay, so like purchasing a large, let's call it, let's say keep, would be like taking a treasury die from like a 5 or a 6 down to a 3 or a 2. So we're talking a very, very significant portion of your cash would be gone. And you currently probably don't have quite enough in your bank to buy one of those type of places in capital.
Could
Yeah, I
we?
actually forgot. How much do we owe these guys for the boat?
250 gold pieces per member,
Could we use Airbnb?
and a favor.
Airbnb.
Who wrote
Like-
that? Who wrote that? You may now have disadvantage on your next ability check or saving throw.
Taking away the inspiration die.
You fucking suck.
I mean, like, I'm willing to sign a lease contract and just.
There are
See
plenty
what
of
the options
places
are.
that you could. I mean,
It
you'll
needn't be
you'll
extravagant.
you'll have to find out when you get there. I mean,
Steal
these
a
are all
bar.
things that you're gonna have to
Steal a bar.
investigate and find out. Like,
I
no
mean,
one
I'm
on
cool
this-
with the secondhand keep.
Yeah, no one on this ship is really have any first-hand knowledge of any of that. Most of them stay on the docks, especially when you go to Capital, because you have to pass through customs to even get into Capital. And most of the people just don't fuck with that. They just stay on the ship. They might get off, but there's only a very small section of the docks that's before the customs house. So they only experience that little bit. They don't really know what Capital has to offer.
Okay.
Think of it like going through security in an airport and then going out to your gate, and all of the little bitty things that are there, that's all you experience of that city.
Okay.
So that's basically what it's like. So
Man, I guess I only have one question left.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how was Chicken Fucker?
s-
Hold on, let me take a look at my spells.
man, in an open forum amongst all of wow.
I just want to whisper, don't worry, she can't hit you.
This one, I just use my daily from like just being water ganassi of create or destroy water, and I just create a bubble of water over where
You cut out.
I just create a bubble of water above Wargrim's head and just let it go.
Sploosh. You have now drenched Wargrim in water.
I will use my reaction to cast Shield.
He's made of metal.
At this point, I'm gonna allow it. It just hits you. It hits you, and you're covered in water ganassi water. The water it hits you and just kind of bisects and just splits, soaking you in water. All your little mechanical crevices hits the deck and just kind of washes out to the side. Swoosh.
And then I just look beyond him and go, any other questions?
Did you finish?
Not a peep. Everybody is now staring at Wargrim with this like super puzzled look on their face, and Chicken Fucker is nowhere to be found.
Yo, Captain, what the hell happened last night?
Wargrim probably knows better than anyone else, considering he's the one that played the prank.
Do you really want to put that power in my hands?
I want every juicy detail of what happened.
I feel like he's gonna get a lot of power stripped from his hands the more this continues.
Oh god. What the hell happened?
The man doesn't tell detail.
I don't really know. I'm just sitting over here confused like the rest of you, sketching in my little book while this continues.
Just talk to Chicken Fucker about it. He knows best.
Okay.
You're dismissed.
Everybody kind of leaves, but they're kind of looking over their shoulder at Wargrim. They're just kind of shaking their head a little bit, and they're all looking at each other, and you hear whispers like, what's going on with the captain? I don't know, Chicken Fucker. Really? What the hell does that kid get? I don't under. You just hear this like
rumors.
Shit as people leave the meeting.
We're stuck on a boat. This rumor's gonna go on to everybody.
I mean, maybe.
Any port in a storm, I guess.
I mean, every dock is a good dock. Anyways.
Chicken Fire doesn't have to live.
Oh god.
All right, so the meeting is adjourned, and you guys disperse however you choose.
I want to go find Chicken Fucker and know what the hell's happening.
Roll an investigation check.
Copy. Give me a sec.
That make the captain a chicken?
Oh damn!
I mean,
14.
Bakak. 14?
Yes.
Let me roll a stealth check for him. Hold on.
Does that make Captain Chicken, or does that make Chicken Fucker Captain Fucker?
Oh,
Oh, hey, that's
That's a promotion.
That is a promotion. All right, so it takes you the better part of an hour, but you've been looking everywhere. You're like, God, where the fuck is this kid? And you just happen to like put your hand on your head and kind of scratch your head, and you just lean back a little bit, and you catch this foot sticking out of the crow's nest up in the central mast.
Yo, Chicken Fucker, is that you?
The foot ducks into the crow's nest really quick.
Yo, let me know what the hell happened with you and the captain.
Fuck off! That's all you hear.
Come on, I just want to know, how was the captain?
No, silence. Dead
Did you
silence.
Did you become a man?
Dead silence.
Yo.
Total silence. Crickets. Water
Aw.
hitting the ship. As the bow of the ship is like, and the mist coming up from the sides and splashing the sails and kind of casting off to the side.
Oh man, poor
About
kid.
another 60 seconds goes by, and you hear this noise next to you. And you're like, what in the hell is that? And you look to the side, and you just see this like splatter hit the ground, sploosh, right next to you. And then
What the hell?
sploosh, right next to you. And you look up, and Chicken Fucker is leaned over the basket, puking his guts out, right next to you. Sploosh, sploosh.
Oh god, poor kid.
just giving it hell.
Yo, we gotta bring your tolerance up a little bit more. This is not good.
He's got his hand laying over the basket, and he just kind of holds out his middle finger, and then it just kind of slinks back down onto the railing.
Alright. Alright, sooner or later you're gonna tell me what happened with you and the captain. It's okay. I'll walk away.
He doesn't lift his head. He just lays there,
Perfectly fine.
confused and completely and utterly sick from the dwarven GoDaddy juice.
Perfectly fine.
All
I
right.
got nothing else.
All right. Anything anybody else wants to do currently? It's we're gonna call it. We're gonna call it late afternoon now. It's like
Mutiny.
mutiny. All right. How would you like to create your mutiny?
I'm not there yet.
Right.
It's gonna happen. It's not there yet.
Gotcha.
It'll probably happen though.
We're not stealing this boat.
Pepe irks me one more time. It's over.
I guess if no one else wants to do anything,
Mutiny.
I'll go on to episode 2 of the Pepe Wargrim Steamy Romance.
How fast is the boat going, by the way? Right now? Are we at full speed?
The boat is, you could go talk to the captain to see if there's any more legs underneath her, but she seems to be.
No,
sailing.
I'm not asking to see if we could go faster. I just
Like for
would like
reference.
to.
So I would say 12 to 15 knots, probably.
Okay, just because I was like, if we're not going super fast, I'll just dive into the water and just like fuck in there for a while. Just because that's like home and shit.
It's like 17 miles an hour, so if you can do that.
Yeah, it's like something like that. A knot is
Hardcore swim speed.
15% more than standard unit. Something like that. Peachy, this fucking ship.
Jesus Christ.
No.
I'm not even gonna open that on stream. I'm gonna get
Oh,
banned. on
the only
Twitch.
2 ways I have to shut
It's fine.
Yeah, you might.
Wow.
No.
It's an Amazon listing. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm sure there's all kinds of fun stuff on Amazon. Anyways, all right. So
Good point.
we move on to episode 2 of Pepe and Borgrim. You find him speaking to the captain, going over some navigational charts and just having a general meeting up at the helm of the Verdant Stallion.
It's even named after a horse? I was right.
Yeah.
Sorry, you didn't look at the picture. Continue.
Oh, yeah. See. So he catches your eye as you kind of come up the steps to the wheel deck. Oh, Worgum, hello. Hi, how are you today? He kind of adjusts his attire a little bit as you come up.
I'm doing well enough.
Thank you so much for coming, JFX. I really appreciate your time. Come back and see us next week, buddy, okay? So you catch his glance, and he kind of adjusts himself a little bit as you come up. What can I do for you today?
I'm just wondering if we could continue our conversation about your wonderful pistols.
Well, I mean, I'm sure we could find some time here shortly to, have
Polish his pistol.
Yes, har. To go over some
About
some facts about my repeaters. Give me about 10 minutes, okay? And he goes back to his meeting with the captain, and you see him like laying out a ruler and drawing on the line and using the sextant and the protractor and different things to kind of draw out different trajectory things and on the map. So go ahead and roll me a what did I have you do last time? Was it intelligence? Yeah,
for my rolling for
you're doing another check.
on.
For your steamy finding out information. Remember you rolled a 23, I told you to write it down?
I don't know. I didn't write it down.
Okay. You should write this down. I'm not going to remind you again.
Okay. But intelligence?
Yes,
Yeah,
intelligence plus your
it was
modifier.
yes, it was a
Please.
24.
All right, so go ahead and mark that down for me.
Intelligence on this one is a 17.
17. All right, very good. Thank you very much.
No, you just told me to write a success on the last one.
Okay. Keep track of the
Yeah.
numbers for me if you would, please.
Okay.
Okay, so you spend about a half hour and you gain not nearly as much knowledge as you did the first day or first night. You get a little bit, but it's more conversational this time than it is anything else. It's more about some of the nuances and different things like that. So you gain a little bit, but not a ton this time.
Sounds good.
Okay. So that takes us into the evening. Is there anything for day 2 that anybody would like to accomplish before we move on?
We're getting closer and closer to mutiny here.
I was gonna say, would like to accomplish mutiny. Can I accomplish? Maybe.
Roll me a mutiny check.
Roll for mutiny.
Roll for mutiny. No, just kidding. All right.
We have like 40 dudes. Like,
I mean, you can do whatever you want. This is your game, right? I railroaded you to this point. It's pretty much your ball now.
We'll get there, but I don't know how to steer the ship
Mutiny.
once I have control.
Nice. Get that shit off my screen. All right. So
I will take the side of the ship.
you can't hit anything. It doesn't matter.
Yo.
Hit enemies. We'll see about allies.
why do I like see future fan art of this with Eska like targeting Thalise, and there's like a target on Thalise and like some crazy fucking like I don't know. Anyways.
Guiding bolt just
Guiding
hitting the
bolt,
back of your
guiding bolt.
ally.
Guiding
Yeah.
bolt that goes over his head.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, exactly. Guiding bolt, but it like goes right over, like between her fucking pauldron and her neck. Like,
I think I said it last week. It's that scene from Pulp Fiction where Marvin comes out of the bathroom with a goddamn hand cannon, and
right?
he misses both of them.
Yep.
I think Eska would miss with magic missile, which is unmissable.
I mean, that's true. That's true. That's
We're
very
gonna
true.
bully our commander to not commanding anymore.
Yo, don't worry, they pick on me too, so it's fine.
Nah.
The other thing I want to do during this day is just try to work on the arrow.
All right, go ahead and roll me a tinkering check, which I believe is a d20 plus dex.
Would it be dex or would it be intelligence?
Well, it would depend on if you're physically trying to do something with the pieces or if you're trying to discern something about the pieces. If you're trying to
Starting out-
discern, it's intelligence.
prop-
If it's crafting, it's dex.
I think to start, I'd be trying to discern their properties, seeing as they're from 3 different races craftsmen.
Correct. Human, elven, and dwarven.
So, intelligence for the first one.
Sure.
Talk to your
That's only a
boyfriend about it.
That's a whiff.
It's only a 15.
You spend the better part of a couple of hours, carefully inspecting the pieces. You don't really discern really too much about the craftsmanship, other than distinctly reaffirming that each piece that you had identified before most definitely came from someone of that race, because there's detail in each piece that is unmistakably something that particular race would do. And you've seen enough of it to know. So you have now reaffirmed yourself that that is a correct assumption. So, and that's what you'll discern from your first check. All right, so we've got the arrow out of the way. Day 2 has come to a close. Day 3, does anybody have anything else that they would like to do over day 3, day 4, day 5? Anything
Let me out.
Let you out. All right,
I can't really do anything.
right. Okay.
I'm not like a cool forge cleric anymore.
Eska, is there anything that you would like to continue during the remaining 5 days of the trip?
Practice your aim, maybe.
Drinking.
Not drinking.
I don't think that's a thing I can actually do, is it? Practice my aim. I think that's just comes with time and leveling. That aside, I don't think so. I can't think of anything specific aside from the stuff we've already talked about.
Fair enough. All right, so let me see. I need to look at a note real quick. Give me just a second, guys. Let me pull this up so I can read it. All right, so we needed to do. Okay. All right. Okay, so on night number 6. So we're the last night. We're heading into. You were told by Captain Fay Leon that the next day that you would be arriving to Capital, or at least to the waters around Capital. Pope check. Oh Lord Jesus!
It's a
The Pope is
double
on.
nat 20.
Is on the ship.
I am the Pope.
Mutiny.
The Pope has descended, is standing before you, and commands you to take this vessel.
Well,
The Pope said it.
In the name
Don't have
of
a chair.
D&D Jesus, go forth and conquer. Oh my lord. That is hilarious shit. All right. So night 6. The ship is quiet. The only thing you can hear is the crashing of the waves. You hear little bits of snoring and people quietly talking as they're going about their business for their evening shifts and things like that. Litness,
Yes, sir.
as you sleep for the evening, you have a dream. You are taken to a temple, and you're standing outside this temple. It's very dark. You can't make out very much of the features, but the one thing that you do see in front of you is a door. And this door is probably 20 foot tall and probably at least 20 foot wide. It is a double door, so it's about, let's call it a 10, 10 and 10 section, right? Or a 20 and 20 section, whichever you'd prefer. Doesn't matter. And they're just barely open enough. And there's this like super reddish orange light just kind of spilling out of the doorway and down the steps. And you're kind of standing, kind of makes like a backwards triangle. And you're kind of standing at the base of the steps, right where that light gets eaten by the darkness. And you're kind of standing at the foot of that darkness. And you're just kind of staring up at the doorway. Do you go to the doorway?
Question?
Okay, go ahead. Yes, question. Sorry. This
Sure,
is,
yes. I will go to the door.
This is going to be an interactive dream. All right, so as you slowly make your way into the orange red light, every 10 or so feet, you hear this very faint voice in your head. I mean, just it's the most quietest whisper that you've ever heard. And it just says power. very quietly. You walk a little further and a little further, and you get to the door, where the door is open. And you peer inside, and all you see is just bright orange, reddish, ruddy light just spilling out of the doorway. And in the center of that light, you see just a very small, dark object. It's not humanoid like. It's not a person, but it looks more like a thing, something. And you're not quite sure what it is. Can you roll a perception check for me, please?
Yes.
Thank you. As you're standing there, you kind of tilt your head from side to side and you squint really hard. And you're like, what is that? And you take a step inside the door. And then you take a second step inside the door. And then you come to a stop again. And you look. And for just a brief flash of a second, the light fades in an instant in the center of the room. And there's an object floating in the air. A long handle. A crescent-like object attached to the top of it.
Grab it.
And as you reach forward to grab it, it disappears and you wake up covered in sweat in your bed.
Well, that's the closest thing letting us go to a wet dream. Ultimate power.
Oh no, he's a Sith horse.
You're not wrong.
All right.
Pony
all.
petite.
That's all you get. That's it for that one. All right, so as the morning comes, the sun rises over the water, and you hear. And everyone's like, what in God's name is that? And you hear it again in the distance. And then again off kind of in another direction you hear. You just hear this like echoing of these like horns back and forth. And the commander returns to the deck. And I would assume the rest of you return to the deck.
Mhm.
And you see the captain and Pepe standing at the helm, guiding the ship. And you see all of the deckhands kind of in a line up one side to the front, and then in a line to the other side. And you're like, what's going on? What's going on? And Pepe kind of calls down to you. Prepare for inspection! Prepare for inspection! Folks, we have arrived capital. And he kind of bows his head like this. And as you peer out into the distance, you can see shapes starting to take form in front of you. You see hills. You see juts of island and rock in front of you. Dark in color. Very tiny in the distance as you're coming upon it. And as you get a little bit closer, you start to see structures. And you start to see buildings. And you see spires. And you see steeples. And you see walls. And you see little dots in the air, kind of here and there, in various parts over top of what you assume is the direction of the city or land. The sun is shining brightly in the sky. It's still morning. It's a little cool, but the water is pretty calm. The breeze is blowing, the sails are full, giving it that kind of canvas smack sound as you would hear as it pulls tight against the strings in the mast. The water softly smashing against the ship as you through the water. And again, you hear the horns. And all of a sudden, you kind of look off into the distance to the one side, and you see a mast appear. And then another mast. And then another mast. As 3 ships are now sailing in your direction. Very vibrant colors line the flag line of the ships. Blues, reds, greens, yellows, just all matter of color. And on the front of it, you see the royal crest of the Imperial Navy. 2 cannons pointed crossways with a golden cannonball coming out of the center of it. Pepe calls down, "Look lively, be prepared to be boarded for inspection upon arrival to capital. Be prepared." And as the ships sail closer and closer and closer and closer and closer, the larger they get. You see, the Verdant Stallion is known as a pretty decent-sized ship. She's very, very fast. She carries a lot of cargo, and she's very well armed. Flying Vaslorian colors in the seas around Rioja is nothing it's normal. Vaslorians trade with the Riovans all the time. And so the ships pull in next to the Verdant Stallion, and they stop. And you hear from the central ship the call out of the crier. "You there, Verdant Stallion, prepare to be boarded by the Imperial Navy for inspection upon arrival to capital. Do not try anything funny, or we shall sink you where you sit."
Triple ship mutiny.
I lean over. Hey, Pepe, is got nothing to worry about, right?
He kind of looks at you and he kind of goes like this.
Ah, shit.
Oh, we fucked.
And so the one ship lets out a skiff, and you see one guy standing on the front of it like George Washington with his foot up, and you see 2 guys rowing and 1 guy in the back. Row, row, row. And you see
Your
one of
boat?
yeah, exactly. Row, row, row your boat. Ass.
You did
What?
this.
I totally did this. And so one of the guys tosses a kind of like a rope ladder off the side of the Verdant Stallion, and you watch as the 2 guys who are rowing put their oars down and secure them, and then they come up onto the edge of the deck and they stand on either side of the rope ladder, and they just stand there with their hands crossed on their waist. Following them comes this pompously dressed officer of the Imperial Navy. Just impossibly impeccable. Dressed like the most fine clothes you've ever seen in your entire life. Think the noble of the nobles of the nobles. The noble's noble. Shined, polished, gold, brass, beautiful colors. His hat is like suede, and he's got a very large black feather that kind of curls up into a puff above his hat, or above the hat. Let me look at my notes here. There we go. All right. He turns and looks at Eska. I'm assuming you would be standing down on the deck. And
Yep.
joining beside you now, you have Captain Felion standing right next to you. And then Pepe is right behind the two of you. He boards the ship and looks at the two of you, and he kind of takes off his hat and tucks it underneath his left arm. He's like, "And who do I owe the honor of inspection of the Imperial Navy? Welcome to Capital. What is your business here?" And he kind of turns his nose up a little bit, just kind of looking around the deck. The captain of the Verdenstein kind of speaks up. We're here to do some trading. Here to leave a few passengers that we picked up, and just basically here to take on more supplies and be on our way. Nothing too out of the ordinary, just mostly trade.
No demons or nothing.
Yeah, no demons. No, there's no mention of that. Well, seems like everything is on the up and up. You wouldn't mind if we have a little look around, would you? No, please, be my guest. Take a look. My ship is your ship. He kind of snorts at that. He's like, a Vaslorian ship. How cute. And his two men depart from him, and they start searching the boat. Just looking.
How do we mutiny?
Just looking for different things. And about
Can you use your cold sight to steal his hat from under his arm?
Well, I'm frankly considering knocking them overboard. It's just a prank, right? That's how that works.
Prank war.
So about 15 minutes goes by, and his two lackeys return and post up next to him. One leans in and gives him a little bit of information, and he looks at the captain, and he looks at Eska. And, what might your name be? I'm curious, yes. Never seen you before. What brings you to Capital? The finest city that ever is, and the finest city that ever will be.
I'm in charge of bringing some of these refugees. What was the name of the city again?
Watercrest.
From Watercrest, which recently got destroyed. I don't know if word has reached you yet.
Destroyed? Destroyed by who?
Well, you see, there's a floating city. I don't know if you've heard of it.
A floating city? Oh, come now. A floating city? The only one with a floating city. Wait a minute. Don't tell me that pompous asshole is taking over more territory.
You'd be right.
He lets out a long sigh. And you say you're bringing refugees with you. Is it this lot? These poorly dressed drivel?
Yeah,
Well,
all of them.
Poorly dressed.
I sure hope that you find some better wares once you get into Capital.
We intend to, for those of us that can afford it.
I surely hope so. We
Now he's insulted my sense of fashion. There's definitely going to be mutiny.
we have an
That's
image
the
to
straw that
we
broke
have
the
an
camel's
image
back.
to uphold here. Please try to keep up. And he pulls out a scroll from his waistband, and he kind of opens it up, and you see him take his ring, and his little lackey is kind of standing to the side, and he sets a candle on the railing of the deck, and he lights it, and he kind of stands there for a minute. And he takes the candle and he pours the hot wax onto the parchment, and you see the Riovan admiral take his ring and press a seal into it. And he looks at it, and he rolls it back up, and he hands it to Captain Phaleon, and he says, "All right, your passage has been granted into the docks of Capital. Welcome. If it is your first time here, I would highly suggest that you pay attention and listen to those in the customs house. Welcome to Capital." And he spins with his lackeys and he crawls back off the ship into his skiff, puts his foot back up, and kind of stands there very proud, and back off to their ship they go.
Thank you. Good.
She takes the piece of parchment, she unscrolls it and looks at it, kind of nods, scrolls it back up and hands it to Pepe, and she says, "File this, please, Pepe, with the others." And you see him kind of bow and take it, and he kind of tucks it in his coat. They crawl back onto the ship. The three ships unfurl their sails again, and they turn and they drift off kind of away from you.
Certainly a display of force.
The captain turns and
The
looks at you.
state.
The captain turns and looks at you, and without missing a beat, she says, "Yes, that is the Imperial Navy of Riova. They are responsible for assuring the safety of all commerce and trade that comes in and out of capital in the continent or in the country of Riova. They protect the shipping lanes basically in the whole of Orden. There is no one else that protects as much as the Imperial Navy of Capital. They are quite useful, but quite nobility and quite pompous assholes." And she kind of shakes her head a little bit. "But they serve a purpose, and we tolerate them."
Yeah, I could tell he was lame by that lame hat that I definitely didn't want.
Right. So she basically barks out some orders to the rest of the hands. They draw the anchor, and you unfurl one sail, and the boat turns and starts to slowly coast towards the docks of Capital. To enter Capital, you first dock on an island. All of the docks, commerce, trade, everything comes through this particular island where the docks are. The island is called the Stays. And the Stays is think of it as like somewhere on the order of the size of Manhattan, right? Something like that. Maybe more Staten Island, in between Manhattan and Staten Island, so somewhere in that kind of size. The captain fills you in a little bit about what the Stays is all about. There's all matter of trade that goes on here. The customs house, she kind of tells you what the customs house is. That basically where people are not allowed to go past that point without passing customs. You have to exchange all of your gold for currency. You see, because capital is run based on a currency, a printed currency, not on gold. You can take gold into capital, but it's worth nothing. So they have an exchange bank inside of the customs house where you will have to trade that in once you make it that far. They will check any goods that you are bringing in to assure that they meet standards. And then they will inform you of the basic rules of the stays. And that's basically what you're going to get when you arrive to the customs house. She then explains to you that once you pass through the customs house, you're now in what is called the stays, or the stays proper. It's basically a city within a city. There are bars, there are inns, there are residents. There is its own community, all in itself, just outside of Capital. No one goes to Capital without passing through the stays. And the only way that you can get from the stays to Capital is by one of two ways: by procuring a passage on a ferry, or passage by magic carpet. Those are the only two ways that you can go to the city of Capital from the stays. So as your boat gets closer and closer and closer, and you start to see this vast expanse of docks. There's huge ships. There are small ships. There are just any number and matter of makes and models, ethnicities. They all come to Capital to trade. Everything on the planet of Orden comes through Capital. It either starts in Capital or it ends in Capital. It is literally the hub of the world. And as your ship finds its dock, your lackeys throw their moorings to the dock hands. You tie up. You get some last minute instructions from the captain, some last minute words of encouragement from Pepe, and you find yourself with you and the senior officers walking down the docks, listening to all manners of language, of smells of different foods, of different wares, different little trinkets of things as you pass by, children begging for food and change in the street, carts passing with fruits and vegetables and different things coming to and from ships. The sounds of a bustling economic powerhouse meets strife all in one place. And as you come up to the single story house where you have to go into, or it's basically more like a warehouse for customs, you see a row of well dressed customs agents, if you will, wearing different attire than everybody else. They're wearing kind of like um, a black tunic top with a gold star on the left hand side. They have a well trimmed belt with black pants and red shoes. And they funnel you towards them and into the doors. And as you pass through, that's where we're going to end the session for tonight. Welcome to Capital. Next week, you will start your stay here and you will go through customs, and then the world is yours to decide what you're going to do within Capital from there.
So like the ships stay at the stays, and then like on foot you go to the little port city, and then another
So
fair
okay,
body of water.
let me here. I actually should have done this because I had this. Let me pull this up. I think you can only see this. All right. So this is the stays. Okay. And so the docks start here and they trail all along this section. So basically from this point to this point here, this is all docks right here. So from like here to here, this is docks all through here. Okay. So basically what happens is you dock here, and then anything coming or going from the city eventually makes it here. So all of the goods, there's there's a section of this pass through where you don't have to go into the customs warehouse to leave Capital with goods. Those are already things that have been checked to make it out to the stays. But if you're bringing stuff into Capital, it goes through the warehouse and it's made assured that there's nothing wrong with whatever the hell it is you're bringing into the city. And then from the stays or from the warehouse, those goods travel the streets of the stays or uh, back onto a transport skiff of some kind, like a for lack of a better term, barge, if you will, on the opposite side, say like over here. Hang on, is it not? Like over here. And then those things are funneled into the city. They're either taken by magic carpet, by ferry, or by barge, essentially. But once you get past the warehouse or once you get past customs, think of the stays as just another, it's like a borough, right? So inside of the city of Capital, there are 57 different neighborhoods, right? And that's not that's the number of neighborhoods there are within Capital. And we'll get into more of that, as the story goes along here next week. But the Stays is one of those neighborhoods. Okay. Now you don't know really anything about that outside of that, but you hear those kinds of things as you're walking up to people asking general questions. Well, what is this? The Stays is its own neighborhood. So basically, you're on an island, typical of like, Staten Island or some shit like that.
There are no like public docks on the Capitol shore. Like it's all through here, and then they
Nope.
do their own.
Nope.
Right.
Nope.
This seems
100.
rife with corruption. I'm already stoked.
100%. Everything goes through this spot.
Right. Okay.
So, and you're absolutely correct, and we'll talk about that offline. So,
Yeah.
guys, thank you so much for coming and joining us in the chat tonight. We really appreciate it. We love seeing people interacting and having a wonderful time. Thank you guys so much. We will be back next week. I'm not sure Thursday or Friday. We'll have to check on that. Not sure yet. Probably Thursday. I think I work Friday, so probably Thursday next week, unfortunately. So stay tuned for more fun. Getting to Capital is a little bit of a task, but let me tell you what, you're going to love this series from here on out. It is riddled with all kinds of shit, and you're going to love it. So thanks for coming, and we will see you next week. See ya.